Now we have a fireside chat on journey towards universal water access for rural Madhya Pradesh. I would again invite Mr. Somolendra Ghosh, Associate Partner and Global Water Lead, KPMG India, to moderate this discussion. It's my pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Tejaswi Naik, IAS Managing Director, Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam, Maryadit. Over to you, Mr. Ghosh.
Good afternoon, Dr. Naik.
We are
delighted to have you in this important discussion. MP Jal Nigam, we know that it's an important organization providing water services to millions of people in Madhya Pradesh. It's catering to the rural populace and delivering clean quality water to many households. So why don't you take us through the evaluation of this organization, with what objective this entity was created, and what are the key functions it is carrying out?
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh, and thanks everybody on the team for having me here. So about MP Jal Nigam, we have been a corporation since 2012, and this corporation was envisaged to provide multi-village schemes, that is to bring surface water to number of villages which are water stressed or which lack the ground water possibilities. MP Jal Nigam has come a long way since then. Initially, MP Jal Nigam has implemented schemes totally based on the state budget. Since last year, we have taken up the Jal Jeevan Mission, which is 50% Government of India and 50% state funding. And we have been implementing projects according to the Jal Jeevan Mission guidelines and the related requirements which we need to ensure. So for a state like MP, implementation of such multi-village schemes come with their own set of challenges. MP is predominantly a plateau state, if I can say so. Compared to other plain states where the groundwater availability is very easier compared to MP. But we are also blessed with a huge number of water reservoirs, thanks to the excellent work done in the previous decades. So that provides us with an ideal situation wherein we can go for multi-village schemes based on these water reservoirs as well as the almost perennial rivers like Narmada. So we have been implementing schemes since 2014. That was when the first set of schemes started. And initially we started with schemes of the size of 30 to 40 villages. And slowly we have progressed to schemes which are of the size of 2000 villages. So we are growing and we are learning. And the predominant mode or the main mode that we use to implement schemes is the EPC mode, wherein the private contractor designs the schemes also and implements it for us and runs the scheme for 10 years in the O&M phase. So we get to learn a lot from the private sector also, and we get to interact with a lot of our grassroots population also, our customers who form our base, the grassroots base. We engage many of women SHGs to ensure our water fee collection, and we interact with quite a number of functionaries, because in Jal Jeevan Mission also we need to ensure a lot of benchmarks, wherein say village action plan has to be vetted by the Gram Sabha, then there has to be a district action plan by the district level committee and then state. So in this way, we are developing an ecosystem which will have MP in a good state for the next 20-30 years. And we are also evolving accordingly. So this is a small overview about Jal Nigam. We are a very young and a very lean organization. We have project implementation units at the district level. So they implement the projects for us, and at the state level we have a head office. So this is how we go about things.
Great. Now, you mentioned that that means the Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam will have primary focus on the MVS schemes, multi-village schemes. But there are many other villages which will also have groundwater-based schemes. So maybe under the same program, some villages will be covered by MP Jal Nigam and others will be covered by some other departments. So how this division of work happens? Which are the other departments or agencies which are involved in providing rural water to villages?
Yeah, since the inception of Jal Jeevan Mission, it has been decided that the single village scheme would be implemented by the state PHE department, the public health engineering department, which also happens to be the nodal department for Jal Nigam. And the multi-village scheme would be implemented by MP Jal Nigam. This has been so earlier also, but since the inception of Jal Jeevan Mission, this has been solidified. And MP has a total of 1.21 crore families. That means 1.21 crore connections that need to be given, which we have also mentioned in our annual action plan for Jal Jeevan Mission. So in terms of planning, it would come down to exactly almost 50-50. So wherever we have had a water tie-up and wherever the groundwater is not there, MP Jal Nigam has come in there, and the planning is complete, and almost 80% of our implementation in terms of starting the scheme, that also has been completed. To around 20% schemes which have been in planning phase, they require to be now tendered out. So we are in that process now. Apart from that, a single village scheme also, all the planning and the implementation, they are going simultaneously. Because we have to achieve a big target of 2024 as envisaged by our Honorable Prime Minister, which again has been modified and given a much challenging target of 2023 by our Honorable CM. So we have a huge task ahead, and we are geared up. Last 1.5 years has been about that. We have geared up, and these two teams, we are part of the Jal Jeevan Mission in MP. This is how we are going about this.
And where do you stand now, sir? The target is 100%. So where do you lie and how confident you are that you'll be able to achieve?
We have already crossed 30% of the target. MP did start a bit late in Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission was launched in August 2019, and the annual action plan and the everything was finalized here in MP in May 2020. So we were a bit behind in the initiation, but we have covered it because last year, I think among the states, MP was the top performer. And this year also in spending, we are the top performer. And in the coming years, till running up till 2024, I think MP will not be surpassed in terms of spending and in terms of progress, because a huge amount of work needs to be done, and we have already had that in our on our table. So we are going about it, and we are pretty confident that we'll achieve the target.
Yeah, no, I fully appreciate and understand, because the states which has got very large MVS reliance, where you have a lot of MVS schemes, getting that initial percentage high is not so easy, because your projects have got longer timeline. So what happens is the states where you have more MVS, suddenly in the later part of the program, the numbers will suddenly come up. So, but there are other states where it is groundwater based, predominantly 80-90% groundwater based. There you can uniformly keep on adding villages every year. So I understand that constraint. And I think overall for ecology, etc., it is actually good to have groundwater, the surface water based system rather than groundwater based system. It also has got lesser implication on groundwater level and more sustainable source. So I think that that's a very good step that MP has done, relying more on surface water. Now, just one related question. Now, for those MVS schemes, we understand in Jal Jeevan Mission, you have up to village infrastructure and then in village infrastructure. And in village infrastructure, the village action plan, village water sanitation committees, they have to have a major role. The stakeholder discussion has to be there. So when you are implementing these MVS schemes, is MP Jal Nigam implementing up to household level, or you are stopping up to maybe ground the reservoir level up to the village, and then in village is being implemented by PHE or the Panchayat? Is there any sharing of infrastructure or sharing of responsibility for MVS as well?
No. Since inception, MP Jal Nigam has been implementing scheme from the source to the tap. So
Okay.
we also construct the intake. We also end up giving the tap connections also. So even in Jal Jeevan mission, when it started, we hardly had any time to look at a different model or think about different model because this was the tested model for us, and this was the workhorse for MP Jal Nigam, which has always stood the test of the time. So accordingly, all our projects are sourced to FSTC, the functional household tap connection, which is also the mandate of Jal Jeevan mission. In certain areas where the single village schemes are already running, there, if our multi-village scheme is coming in, so we are augmenting the existing single village scheme to the overhead tank level. So that ways we cover such villages also where single village scheme is existing. Apart from that, whenever our project is made, it is source to tap.
Now, a very important aspect of that, you mentioned that your private sectors are mainly coming into this picture more through EPC contract. But have you thought of other models? Because we have heard that in some few other states they have experimented with say hybrid annuity model or other kinds of models. So do you have any plan to look at these other options which may be being applied in other parts of water sector?
As I mentioned before, we did delve upon other possible models. But since this was a tested model that we had, and the time that was allowed to us, as I'm talking now, our clock is ticking. We need
Yes.
to produce results by 2024. So I can say we have hardly had the luxury of time to experiment with other models. So because we had a tested model at hand, we have gone ahead with that, and we are pretty happy with the model, and we are pretty confident of implementing all our projects through that only.
Now, coming to another important aspect of these water sector schemes, very often large schemes are constructed, but it's not properly maintained. In the long term, the schemes actually are not sustainable, or there are challenges in operating and maintaining them. You have mentioned that in your contracts you have a provision for 10 years of O&M inbuilt. So that's definitely a good step. But are you also taking other technology or digital supports in managing your assets? Because in some of the urban schemes, typically you apply technologies like SCADA in your water treatment plants. Even in distribution network, also you have SCADA. So in case of rural water, what is the kind of technology that you have implemented, and whether you have a plan to upgrade your system to any different technology level or technology platform?
Since we have been implementing the MVS schemes, I can share with you, we are now supplying 1,500 villages amounting to around 3 lakh families, and which is only growing. By March. We are targeting to have another 5 lakh families and a total of 4,000 villages. All these have stood the test of time as well as the challenge of O&M. I think our first scheme started O&M in 2016. So given this 10 years O&M model, which the contractor has to give us for the next 10 years, we haven't faced problem of that magnitude that you have mentioned. Yes, certain tweaks here and there, that's part of the maintenance game. But because the engineering is also good, see, if you see the MP Jal Nigam's multi-village schemes, They are all based out of stable reservoirs. Seasonal rivers or small check dams are not taken for water supply source. It is the existing big WRD or NVDA, Narmada Valley Development Authority reservoirs or rivers like Narmada, which never run out of water. So given that, we have not yet faced any problem regarding source, and we don't anticipate any such problem in the coming days. Engineering wise also, the plan is to run the water as much as possible on gravitation. So once the raw water leaves the intake and reaches the WTP where it is treated, after that we have a network of balancing reservoirs which take the head, and then from there it goes in gravitation mode. So we are saving a lot of power also here. So this model has worked out well for us. Yes, most of these models involving the bulk meters and walls, all this have been mostly manual. We do have provisions for SCADA in our projects, but this SCADA has been mainly between the intake to the WTP, the systems, the clarificator, the aerator, these systems that they are part of WTP. Yeah. So they mainly take care of that, and they take care of the bulk water that we provide. I could visit a couple of urban local bodies also, which are running, even Bangalore for that matter. There also I could make out that the SCADA is limited to the water treatment plant. If we need to take it down to the last mile, to the customer level, the cost involved is humongous. So there needs to be a brainstorming. We are part of the discussion that is going on at Delhi level, at the national JJM level, where these things are being taken up. And there are a lot of ideas being floated because the earlier model was, I think, using sensors everywhere. Now, because of IoT and the development in the sector, we can also tap the latest technologies which are cost effective. So given the situation, we are open to ideas. We are in talks with a lot of interested parties, and we are also part of the discussion that is going on in Delhi. So yeah, we are looking forward to have a system which stands the test of the time for the next, say, 40, 50 years. And we should be fine with that.
Yeah, in fact, I think there's a task force also which is looking into possibility of using IoT sensors in monitoring rural water projects. Because you are very correct. The things which can make economic sense in an urban context may not be applicable for rural setting, because it's a very diverse and long drawn process, and you have population, very sparse population spread across a very large area. So you cannot have sensors everywhere. So it has to be strategically put in certain places, and you don't really need to monitor too many parameters. You just need some basic 4 or 5 parameters which serves your purpose. So I think you are very correct. It should be judicious, and maybe through some piloting or maybe proof of concept, you should arrive at the right technology, optimum technology for your which can serve your purpose. So very right. The other very important thing which also ensures long-term sustainability of these projects, and this is also embedded in your program guideline, is involvement of the ground level stakeholders. It is actually at the main heart of entire operation guidelines that Jal Jeevan Mission has created. So if you can elaborate a bit on what are your initiatives, what are the things that MP Jal Nigam doing along with other state departments to involve villagers in this entire implementation of the projects, as well as operation and maintenance of assets, and how they're kind of owning up this entire project and the assets, so that in the long term, even after this 10 years period is over, the assets remain with them and they are able to maintain it.
Even before the inception of Jal Jeevan Mission, when we started with our projects in MP Jal Nigam, there was this model of having a village level samiti, the committees, village level committees, which are mainly headed by the women folk of the village, because they are the most important stakeholders of all this thing that is going on. Once Jal Jeevan Mission came in, it came in with a lot more other systems in place, adding on to the existing model that we had in Jal Nigam. And it has been a very beautiful ecosystem, if I can say so. So now the existing village level committees, we, according to the Jal Jeevan guidelines, we have tried to benchmark it according to the Jal Jeevan Mission guidelines. And for the collection aspect, wherein the water fee collection is to be done, we are engaging the women SHGs, as I already mentioned.
Yeah.
So these village committees are supposed to be taking care of the water supply within the village, the in-village infrastructure that we talk about. And they also have a wallman on their payrolls. The money that they collect from this village is also the salary for the wallman. And whatever minor repairs that are there that come up and that they need to take up, giving a connection and all these things, that they implement it through the money collected. So the community's money goes back to the community there itself. Apart from this, involvement of the women folk is very crucial, and through women SHGs also and through our village level committees also, we have been able to ensure that. And once the people of the village are involved, their stakeholding is there. So in the Jal Jeevan Mission, there is also this concept of community contribution. So in 10% of in-village infrastructure, when it comes to non-tribal areas, it is to be given by the community itself. And in the tribal areas, it is 5%. So they can pay it in terms of cash also. They can pay it in terms of kind also by doing the labor that is required. So it is a very convenient way for them, and they can be part of this whole thing. And because in the initiation itself, we have to furnish a village action plan, and we need to upload it into the Jal Jeevan Mission portal. Their involvement is there from the day one. There is a discussion that happens. They are informed about this is the plan and this is how the whole village will be covered, and that is uploaded, that is vetted, and then the whole process starts. So this way, it is a really grassroots driven scheme, as it is a flagship scheme of Government of India. So we have a lot of hopes that we should be doing wonders here.
Yeah, and in rural water, of course, that we don't expect, or nobody expects that the tariff would be enough to cover capex. The whole purpose is to at least cover some part of OPEX. But what is more important is that whatever tariff is set, whether people are willing to pay or not. Now, with this kind of involvement of villagers, do you see a major change that everybody is willing to pay whatever tariff? I think it's a very nominal tariff that government has set for the villagers. So what is the kind of tariff, and whether people are, more importantly, whether people are willing to pay? What is the collection efficiency as such?
Yeah, see, when it comes to water supply in our country, I have previously worked in the municipal corporation also, and now in the rural sector. The idea is that water is a right and water is free. That is fine as long as you are using it for your sustainable daily requirement purpose. But still, you see not much collection happening in the urban areas. Though what an average urbanite would be spending around, I think, 150 liters plus per capita. Here we are giving 55 liters per capita per day, and it is for the basic necessities. And this is going to bring about a huge change in terms of the hygiene, the health, and overall nutrition aspects, and overall human development indices that we are going to have. So here, I think just by providing water, we are already ensuring a lot of savings, which I think needs to be calculated through studies. But yes, as a token, wherein the family or where the stakeholder shows an appreciation or involvement or ownership, there the money that is set is 60 rupees minimum per family. That is the government order here in Madhya Pradesh. And because of the involvement of women folk especially, we are seeing wonders which otherwise would not have been a possibility. A lot of our villages are 100% paying. So
Oh,
people who
that's-
say
yeah.
that villages may not be paying up, they need to come to MP. We would want to show them how a 100% paying village functions.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear because I think that is because people are involved from the project concept stage itself. They're owning it up. That's why they're willing to pay. That's really good to hear. And you also mentioned a very important point that it's not only providing water at the doorstep. Uh, this is the immediate objective, but this leads to huge impact on other social parameters, whether it is health, education, economic activities. So is, and you mentioned there should be studies, but is there any attempt being made also to quantify what is the impact, overall financial impact or social impact of this huge exercise that is happening in your state across the country, but at least in your state, whether there is an attempt to quantify that?
Yeah, within Jal Nigam itself, through our existing staff, we have observed a lot of changes, which we have documented also, and we keep it transparent. We use Twitter also to disseminate the same. For example, the Jal Nigam Twitter handle has mentioned a study wherein three of our schemes, they have shown a marked decrease in waterborne diseases from 400 to 500 cases to almost nil within 2 years of starting of water supply. Even a couple of cases that came was not due to the water supply water, but them going to some mela or something. So this itself is a test model that we have, which we can show, where we can show that how things are working. Apart from this, on a more serious note, on more official note, we are in relation with IIT Delhi for study in one of the Bundelkhand districts. We are in talks with IIM Indore to especially focus on the livelihood aspects of women, for the change piped water brings in the education status, where girl students need not walk far away or are free from the task of collecting water, of the reduction in IMR, because one of the major killers for infants up to 5 years of age is waterborne disease or vomiting and diarrhea. So this way we have started the studies. We intend to partner more. We are already in touch with the UNDP also, and the Clinton Health Foundation, and other such organizations. And I think once these studies start showing results, for a state like MP, which has always talked about reducing malnutrition, I think there will be a huge change once Jal Jeevan Mission is implemented. Because we may not notice now, but once Jal Jeevan Mission is implemented and the state is ready with a piped water supply, a lot of these problems will be solved. That's what I feel, and that's what we want to prove through our studies.
Yeah, in fact, this is a very important point. In fact, in the past, Niti Aayog conducted study on water resources, drinking water across the country on all centrally supported schemes. And one of the challenges that was actually faced by the consultants doing the study is that the impact data is never captured adequately. It is only the financial performance and the physical performance. How many taps you have connected and how much money you have spent. But there should be actually proper baselining that, okay, before this program started, this was the employment level, this was your school dropout level. And once the program gets implemented, how these parameters are changing. I think then we'll actually get to know the overall impact of the program and what is the total volume or quantum of impact that a program like this is going to have on the general populace. So I think it's really important step, and everybody would be very keen to know outcome of some of these studies, and it actually will then further encourage people to go for such programs and participate in this program. So I think this is a really wonderful initiative from MP Jal Nigam to initiate. But I hope similar studies are also being done for the groundwater-based schemes that PHE is implementing, or it is limited to MP Jal Nigam only.
It's about the whole ecosystem, because you see the Jal Jeevan Mission ecosystem. Whenever we attend the Delhi video conferencings or the meetings, there are so many aspects related to the Jal Jeevan Mission. It is only improving day by day through the experience that the states have to offer and stakeholders have to offer. So in this ecosystem, there is a lot of possibility and there is a lot of scope for having study across the spectrum. So the Tikamgarh, the Bundelkhand district study that I was mentioning, it incorporates SVS as well as MVS. And our other study that I'm talking about, where we are entering into a agreement with IIM Indore,
Yeah.
that is a pan MP study. So
Okay.
that doesn't make any differentiation between MVS as well as SBS. So because our studies are going to be really important for other departments also. So say the women and child development, the health department, the education department, it has its importance for all these departments. We are making it a very broad based and solid study, and the more the merrier, I would say. So we are only looking forward to different ways and different means to show what is the impact of this implementation.
Now, finally, coming to another very important aspect, which is the water quality. And ultimate objective is not to reach water, but it's potable water as per the standards. So how do you ensure that the water quality, water that is coming out of the tap is of potable quality? Do you have adequate labs? Do you involve the stakeholders also in some of this monitoring? Because again, guidelines suggests that there should be Jal Mitras and village level stakeholders who themselves then manage or at least regularly monitor the quality. There are quality test kits, etc., which has been provided for as part of the program. So if you can just talk about some of the initiatives in ensuring water quality as part of your rural water distribution system.
Yeah, in Jal Nigam, because we have been implementing the multi-village scheme, we have been really busy ensuring that taps have been provided to all and our systems are in place. So our systems also involve a lab in the water treatment plant itself, which has a dedicated chemist who does a certain number of tests every day and reports the same to us. Apart from this, we are also, because Jal Jeevan Mission guidelines mandates us, we are also involving the village level functionaries, wherein, as you mentioned, it is a requirement for us to involve the village level grassroots functionaries who do the tests daily coming of the water coming out of the tap. And they have been given the field test kits, the FTKs, which the target has been set as to how many tests have to be done. Though the tests may not be very peculiar for multi-village schemes, because the water that is coming is already coming from the water treatment plant where it has already been tested. Yeah. We are using these tests as a cross check for our labs. Apart from that, wherever SVS is there, these tests are running really well, because the samples so collected, they go to our district labs. I think MP is the only state which has all of its districts with NABL accredited labs.
Okay.
So all the 52 districts are now having NABL accredited labs. We are making use of these facilities, and daily target is there to send the samples to these labs and have the scheme water tested. So if there is any incidence of bacteriological component or any other chemical issue, it is notified and we make corrective actions. In MVS, the chances are very less, but yes, we make use of the existing facility.
Yeah, and what it does is actually, even though it is redundant or maybe you are already testing it adequately, but what it also provides is additional confidence in the minds of people, because they know that there are fellow citizens in the same village who are equipped with the field test kits, are taking samples and testing and saying it is okay. So that gives, because they're not able to see the plant or the lab, which is there maybe 20, 25, 30 kilometers away. So I think that gives the confidence that somebody within the village is measuring it. And
yeah, one of the aspects we get to check is the residual chlorine level at the tap level, which it may be different when it is at the WTP level and when it is at the tap level. Even in the urban areas, I have seen the residual chlorine almost nil when it comes to the tap level after treatment. So this gives us a confidence that we are providing the best of the water to our customers. So FTKs are really a required element in this whole setup. It's a basic element, I would say, in the whole Jal Jeevan Mission ecosystem, wherein we are connecting the customer to the quality.
Yeah, great. So I think this is a wonderful story to hear, the way MP Jal Nigam is geared up to implement this important flagship program of Government of India. And we compliment the entire team of Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam for the wonderful work they're doing, and wish you all the best to successful implementation of the program and meeting your deadline, which is, we understand that it's a very challenging deadline, but with the kind of effort that we are making, we are sure that we'll be able to achieve it. And everyone, every rural household in Madhya Pradesh will be able to get potable, clean drinking water within the timeline of the program. So thank you, Dr. Nayak, for your time and your articulation of the entire objective of this organization and how it's performing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. And I just want to mention, this is one scheme which is nearly really close to our hearts, because it's also a very pious scheme. We saw the celebrations of Deepavali in the houses which got water. The celebrations were different. So though we have been given a very challenging target by the Honorable PM and the Honorable CM, led by our dynamic mission director, Mr. Malesh Srivastava at the state level, and also Bharat Lal sir at Delhi, we are really geared up for this. I just want to mention that we are going for it. And I thank you and the ET team for having us and allowing us to share our thoughts here.
Thanks a lot. All the best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nair and Mr. Ghosh, for the riveting chat session. Now we'll move ahead to the next panel discussion. Stay tuned.